Whenever someone asks me how I got into Stanford, which is never, I always give them the same answer. TikTok! Hey guys, my name is Nathan Hidajat. I hope you're having a super, truly wonderful day today. I'm having a really good day. I just woke up from a super fat nap. And I guess those are the benefits of graduating. Anyways, last year I got into Stanford University during the early admissions round. And today I want to share with you guys some of the top tips that I think really helped my application stand out during one of the hardest admissions years we've ever had. Or at least I think one of the hardest. Don't quote me on that. I hope these tips are really helpful and valuable to you guys. Also, I use these same tips and they help me get into schools like USC, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and Vanderbilt. So I hope they'll be really helpful for you guys. Oh, and also I'll be talking about how I use TikTok, or at least how I think I use TikTok as one of my activities to really stand out at the end of this video.
So keep watching.
Quick disclaimer, these are all things that I believe were super helpful to get into Stanford, but I'm not exactly sure if they were the only reason that I got in. So now to get the stats out of the way, I think that they are important, but I don't think that they are the most important part of the admissions process. Stanford's average GPA is about 3.96 according to the internet, which is
never wrong.
But yeah, I had a 4.0 unweighted GPA and a 4.44 weighted GPA, so I never got a B in high school. I'm so sorry for doing that. So anyways, I would aim for a 3.8 GPA or higher. And once you have a good enough GPA though, I don't think you should really sweat about it too much, because it's not like Stanford is going to throw your application out the window because you got 1B in high school. So now for test scores, I took all of this data from Stanford's admitted class of 2019 profile because that's the latest data that I could find. I found that the middle 50% of test scores were ranged from 1440 to 1570 on the SAT, and from 32 to 35 on the ACT. So now for what I got for my SAT, I got a 750 in the English section, and I got a 770 in the math section for a total of, quick maths, 1520. Oh, and I also got a 22 out of 24 on the SAT essay, which I have zero clue how that happened. I just sprayed and prayed on that thing. I just put as much down as possible and submitted it and hoped for the best. Also, I never ended up taking the ACT because after I got a good score on the SAT, I was
not having it
with my standardized testing. I was just not in the mood to take anymore. So as far as what I would aim for to get into Stanford with these standardized testing scores, I would aim for a 1450 and up on the SAT and a 32 and up on the ACT. These are high scores and they'll kind of make sure that you get through that threshold that they have so that your application doesn't get disqualified. I know you can do it. I 100% believe in you guys, so don't even doubt yourselves. Additionally, lots of colleges went test optional this year, including Stanford, but I still think that you should take at least one of the standardized tests because it'll make your application stick out from the people who never took them, and also it'll give college admissions officers just one more quantifiable benchmark to kind of see where you're at academically. I didn't take any SAT subject tests, but I did take 6 AP tests by the time I was applying, and I got a 3 in AP Art 2D, a 3 in AP Language and Composition, a 4 in AP Biology, a 5 in AP Calculus AB, and 5s in AP US and World History. Those are definitely not perfect AP test scores, which just goes to show that your test scores are really more of a way for admissions officers to see if you're ready for the rigor of college classes. You don't need perfect scores to be able to get into these schools. I do want to emphasize though that while your GPA and test scores aren't everything, unless you're like an Olympian or something crazy like that, they are still really important, so I would try your absolute best on them. Once you get a good score though, I wouldn't waste any more of your time doing that because I feel like that time can be spent doing more productive things like your extracurriculars or working on your essays. Now for your essays, I really think that they are one of the most important parts of your applications because it's really a perfect way for you to showcase your personality, show some of your quirky sides and tell the admissions officers who you really are behind all of the academics. I have a few really big pointers for your essays, but let me get the smaller ones out of the way first. First of all, just be honest. Don't lie or over-exaggerate. That's really bad because, one, you can get in a lot of trouble for that. It could be illegal. I don't know if it's actually illegal, but it's definitely morally
bad.
And also it just makes your application less genuine. Another thing is to just be yourself. You know, colleges really want to see your unique personality and who you truly are. So if you're trying to be someone else, it's not really going to work out that well. And also make sure to start your essays early. I believe I started mine the summer before my senior year, and that just gave me a lot of time to go through all of my terrible ideas, like seriously god-awful ideas. Blah. But yeah, it helps you kind of get all of your bad ideas out of your system, and that way you can submit your best when you go to turn in your application. Now for the big tips. One thing that I did that I think was super beneficial was I went on to the college website, so stanford.edu, and then I looked up videos from them and I watched them, and I also looked up their mission statement to find out what their campus really values and kind of the pillars that they look for in their students. Then I wrote them down, tried to find which of these values I really resonated with, and tried to incorporate them into my essays. So for example, when I went to Stanford's website, I found that, you know, they're really interested in like innovation and creativity and art and all that cool stuff, and also like helping your community with the resources that you have. And those were just 3 of the values that I felt like I really resonated with. So I tried to work those in my essays by talking about like the activities I did that were meant to help the community, and also some of the things that I did that I thought were pretty innovative. I don't know if they're actually innovative. They might not have been. And I think that doing this type of reconnaissance and taking an honest look at yourself to see if you align with any of these campus values is really important. Another really important thing is to make sure that your essay has a lot of substance. And this is something that seems really simple, like duh, obviously your essay has to have some substance, but I find that it's really easy to overlook this detail. And also when we read these viral essays from students that help them get into tons of really, really great schools, and they have tons of flashy writing and really unique writing techniques, it's really easy to overlook that these essays also have a super strong foundation. They also talk about what they've done, their experiences, and what they've learned from their experiences in their essays, in addition to the cool writing. So make sure that you prioritize substance over style, because at the end of the day, it's an application. It's not like your personal journal. And then once you have a solid foundation for your essay, you can then go back and add in any style elements that you want and make your essay super fun to read. Another big thing is to stay authentic to your voice. You don't want to try to copy or emulate someone else's writing style because it's not yours and you're not going to be as good at it as someone who actually writes in that way. And lastly, for your essays, don't be afraid to brag a little bit. Like, don't come off as arrogant or show-offy, but colleges do want to see what you've done and your experiences, so I wouldn't be afraid to share them. Alright, now for your activities, which is, I believe, probably the most important part of your application. The first thing for your activities is try to find or create activities that you find enjoyable, because if you don't enjoy the activities that you're doing, you're not going to be driven enough to be able to find any success in them. Additionally, I would try to do a few things out of school clubs, because that shows that you have initiative and that you're willing to start something from scratch, which I think colleges find really, really cool. For example, one big thing that I started was a TikTok account, and it was aimed at mental health and positivity and spreading good news in a world that's dominated by negative media. It's called Inspiration Nathan, so you know, shameless plug there, but I started out by making like 10 to 12 videos every day, which is super excessive, and I don't recommend doing that if you don't like shooting videos. But I really like shooting videos, and I thought it was a super fun time. Eventually, I was able to get it to about 350,000 followers at the time of applying, and at one point I was making about $100 a week from sponsorships and brand deals and all that stuff. And I wrote all about that stuff, so you know, like how I made the videos, how many people I was able to get to follow me, and how many views my videos get. So again, don't be afraid to brag a little bit on your activities. So by building up a unique activity that I really enjoyed and hopefully I was able to help a lot of people with, I was able to stand out more in the process. Or at least I think.
This is the face of someone who does not know what they're saying.
Keep in mind though that this was just one of my activities. Don't think that you could just start making TikToks, blow up, and that's all you need to get into Stanford. I would just focus on doing something that is unique to you, that you really enjoy, and then once you do that, showcase your personality to these colleges. They'll really love that, and it'll give you your best shot of getting in. And so for my other activities, I talked about how I gave a TEDx talk on chromotherapy, which is the science of how we use color and light frequencies to be able to heal our bodies. And that was a topic I found super interesting, so I took a lot of hard work and preparation to prepare for that speech, and it was a really good experience. And second, I talked about Scrub Caps, which was a medical podcast that I founded. And I'm not doing it anymore because currently I find video a lot more interesting than just pure audio. But when I was doing it, I was researching medical topics and talking about those, and also interviewing experts in the field. And after that, I talked about how I was a student at a pre-college program at Brown University. That program was only 2 weeks, so that just goes to show that your activities, or at least some of your activities, don't have to be things that you've been doing your entire year of high school. People change, and it's okay to show colleges that your interests have evolved. Next, I talked about how I sold my artwork at local back-to-school nights and other things like the farmers market, and the money that I raised for that I gave back to the school district, so that was super fun to do. And then I talked about martial arts, which was super cool because martial arts was one of the biggest parts of my life when I was younger. I really enjoy it, and I want to continue to do it at Stanford. Then I wrote about how I volunteered at the local community hospital, and that was a really good experience because I want to go into the medical field eventually, and that was a perfect way to kind of get my hands dirty. Not like literally dirty, my hands are clean. It was a good way to gain experience and kind of figure out that that's actually what I really enjoy to do. Also, I talked about how I was on the debate team at my school and like some of the topics that we did and the awards that my team won. And finally, I mentioned how I'm a watch collector. It's one of, if not my most favorite hobby. I really enjoyed doing it, and I ended up putting that on my application over something like NHS because I was less involved with NHS. And that just goes to show that if you have a passion that you pursued during high school, I would put that over something that you are less involved in. I know that was a lot of activities, but I really don't mean to discourage you guys. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I did. And I just know that if you guys take a super honest look at yourselves and tap into that creative brain of yours, you can come up with something exciting, unique, and personal to you that the admissions officers will adore. Remember, I stand for you. What am I saying? So yeah, you could see that I really tried to prioritize my activities and my application above anything else. And that's why I really encourage you to try to diversify your activities so that you can really stand out more and build a solid foundation for the rest of your application. I really truly believe that you guys can get into Stanford and that you will get into Stanford. And if you have any questions about like the college application process or me in general, feel free to comment down below and I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you want to join my family or you find me somewhat interesting, please consider hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell.